going to go ahead and get my drawing set up for that. So I'm going to start a new file. I hit this plus button here. I've still got Multiview Card 3. I'm going to close that out since we're done with that one. I'm going to leave this new file. I'm going to bring my menu back so I can see what we're working with here. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit save on my new file again to create a new file. And this is going to be Structure Card MV4. This is going to be Structure Card 4. Hit save. I always like kind of looking in my menu just to make sure it pops up there, and I know that we're going to be good to go. I can see it here on my browser. I can see it in the top of my design file. We are ready to model. Before we do that, let's go ahead and think about the approach that we're going to take for this one. So as I look at Structure Card 4, the front view is pretty telling, and as well as the top view. And I just first am referencing the front and the top view. My mind can quickly determine, I think we just have 3 separate features that we're probably going to just attack separately. We're going to sketch each of these in its own right, and then just kind of let them join together to create one continuous body as I look at this. So we've got what looks to be a rectangular prism that's represented by this square here in the front view. That does look like to be twice the depth of the other features because it's protruding out. That's what creates this visible edge as well as this visible edge, because it's not flush here with the other 2 objects. Looks like I've got what would be a flatter rectangular prism that's up on its end. It's sticking upright. That's just kind of sandwiched on the base on one side, and on the other side that looks to be a right triangle that we've done before, where the point is going up into the air. And that would make sense as I look at my right view. So I got this long object that's kind of obstructing all the edges. So I've got a hidden edge here, which represents the peak of my triangle right there, as well as this hidden edge, which represents the top of this rectangular prism that we've got here down the bottom. And so that's this projecting this line over, and that's what I see there. And it turns to solid because this is only half of the depth as we look at the top view. Let's see, I'm seeing this is an object line, what would be right here coming out to here, but this portion would be hidden as well as this portion, which is represented by the top of my triangle. So I think we're going to have to do this in just 3 separate sketches. I think what I'm going to do first is sketch from the, let's see, from the front view. I'm going to go ahead and create this rectangular prism, this long, kind of lower rectangle, and then we're just going to put each feature on each end of it, I think is the approach that I'm going to take. Of course, you can take a different approach, but that's what we're going to do in this video. Let's pull Fusion back up, and let's create our first sketch. So looking at that front view, I'm going to start with that long rectangular prism. I'm going to go ahead and select the XY plane for that to start my sketch. I'm going to close my menu just to make it a little more visible for you all. And we're going to start with a rectangle that begins on our origin. And I'm just going to move it up to create roughly a square. Now, we've got to go ahead and give this square some size, and this is going to be a 1 inch by 1 inch rectangle, so I made this considerably larger than it should be. It was roughly 5 by 5. I'm putting 2 dimensions in there, left clicking on each edge, moving it up, left clicking again to place the dimension. I'm making that a 1 by 1 square. Simple, easy peasy. Go ahead and hit finish sketch and move into our home view. And let's go ahead and extrude this a distance of 2. Zoom out a little bit. So this is 1 inch by 1 inch by 2 inches on our extrusion to create this rectangular base, if you will. And now I need to create a tall rectangle on the right. I need to create a triangular element here on the left. The way we do that triangle is going to be a bit unique because I do think we're going to need to work back to the XY plane that we originally sketched on. And so what I may, let's go ahead and do that first. Let's do the triangle since that one's going to be a little more difficult. So let's go ahead and create our next sketch. And I'm going to choose, this is where we can choose a surface of our object, or we can move over to the one of the original planes from our origin. I don't know if you can see that there in the background, kind of behind our rectangular prism. But we're going to want to sketch on the XY plane again. I want to get back on this surface here. And I could spin around and sketch on the back of the surface just like I did on the previous drawing. That would be absolutely acceptable. I'll just have to perhaps reverse the direction of the extrusion. or I can draw on the XY plane and keep it the same direction of extrusion as I did on this rectangular prism. I think either way is fine. Just to provide a little bit of variety, I guess, let's go ahead and choose the XY plane. So I can either move my cursor away from this object, and I notice, I don't know if you can see that, but the XY plane is shaded blue, whereas the other two are shaded a little like yellow-brown. I can also open up my origin, and I can choose the plane here when in my browser using my origin. Either way would work. But I'm going to make sure I just select that XY plane, and now I'm sketching alongside this rectangular prism, and I need to create a triangle. So I'm going to use a line command for that. I'm going to start at my origin, zoom out a little bit. I'm going to create a triangle. Just 3 clicks there as I draw that line. Now let's put some dimensions on there. This dimension is going to be 1 inch, and this dimension is going to be 2 inches. Because I started on my origin, all of my lines are black because I don't need to locate it. It's already locked in place, and I've got a 2 inch by 1 inch triangle. We can go ahead and hit Finish Sketch. I'm going to move to my home view now because it's going to be really critical. You can see that we are working on the back side there of that rectangle, and this needs to come up as I reference our PDF here. The triangle is on the back surface here as I use the top view, so that's going to help us as we extrude this to make sure it is in the right location. I'm going to go ahead and extrude that triangle, and it's going to be a distance of 1 coming in the same direction as our rectangular base. Hit OK. And then there we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit a free orbit here real quick just so you can kind of see what it looks like from a different angle. There is that triangle pushed up against our rectangular prism. Okay, last step is to create this tall rectangular prism here on the right side. So let's go ahead and create sketch. This might be the easier one. We're going to select this surface and just sketch directly on that surface. And this is going to extend, if I look back at my PDF again, this is going to extend 3 inches high. It's going to hide the peak of my triangle. It's also going to hide the top of my base rectangular prism. So we're going to draw a rectangle starting at our origin. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to create an even taller rectangle. Let's put some constraints on that. I'm going to make this a height 3. I'm going to make this a width of 1. And now I have a fully constrained rectangle because I started on my origin that is 3 inches by 1 inch. Finish that sketch. Move to the home view. Look at it isometric. And we are now going to extrude both this surface, this profile, as well as this profile. We need to have this full rectangle of extrusion. And we are going to do that looking at my drawing here. It's like half the width of 1, so let's go ahead and extrude at 0.5. And it's going in the right direction there, so I can hit OK. We are joining. And this would be the completed Multiview Card 4. 3 objects, 3 sketches. Could not do this in one sketch because of the varying heights, primarily the reason why I couldn't do that. Let's go ahead and hit save to make sure we don't lose our work. And again, this is a video tutorial over how to 3-dimensionally model Multiview Cards 3 and 4 in IED for Project Lead the Way. Thanks so much for tuning in.